Listen carefully. Your past is not a monument. It is not a truth. It is not even real anymore. It exists only in the prison you built for it inside your mind. And every day you spend replaying old failures, old betrayals, old humiliations. You hand control of your present to ghosts that have no power except what you give them. The world does not care about your story. It cares about your strength. And strength begins the moment you realize that detachment from the past is not about forgetting. It is about refusing to let yesterday dictate who you become tomorrow. Most people are ruled by memories they should have buried years ago. They carry guilt for mistakes that taught them lessons. They mourn relationships that were always destined to end. They replay moments of weakness as if repetition will somehow rewrite the outcome. But a Machiavellian mind operates differently. It sees the past as data, not destiny, as information, not identity, as a closed chapter with no authority over the next move. Today you learn how to sever the chains, how to strip your past of all emotional power, how to rebuild your mind into something that cannot be shaken by what once was, and how to become the kind of person who moves through life with such clarity and control that others cannot understand how you remain so calm while they drown in their own memories. This is not therapy. This is strategy. And by the end of this, you will know exactly how to weaponize your past instead of being destroyed by it. Comment silently to yourself right now. My past does not own me. Let that burn into your consciousness as we begin. The past controls you because you let it speak louder than the present. You wake up and the first thing your mind does is pull you backward, into regret, into nostalgia, into bitterness, into shame. You replay conversations that ended years ago. You analyze betrayals by people who no longer think about you. You mourn versions of yourself that no longer exist. And in doing so, you abandon the only moment that actually matters, right now. The Machiavellian understands a fundamental truth. Power exists only in the present. The past is a graveyard. You can visit it to learn, but you cannot live there. The moment you start treating old wounds like open ones, you give them permission to bleed again. The moment you start defending decisions you made with less information, you trap yourself in a version of reality that has already expired. Most people are not haunted by their past. They are haunted by their refusal to let it go. They cling to pain because it has become familiar. They cling to guilt because it feels like penance. They cling to old identities because they are terrified of who they might become without them. But you must understand this. Every second you spend living in the past is a second, stolen from your future. Every ounce of energy you waste on what cannot be changed is energy you could have used to build what comes next. The past has no power except the power you grant it. And the moment you revoke that power, you become free. Detachment begins with a single decision, the decision to stop feeding the past with your attention. You stop replaying the betrayal. You stop romanticizing the relationship that hurt you. You stop justifying yourself to people who misunderstood you. You stop mourning the opportunities you missed. You let it all sit in silence. You let it fade. You let it die. And in that death, you are reborn. The reason most people cannot detach from their past is because they have woven it into their identity. They do not say, I experienced betrayal. They say, I am broken because of betrayal. They do not say, I made a mistake. They say, I am a failure. They do not say, I was hurt. They say, I am damaged. This is the trap. When you fuse your identity with your history, you make it impossible to evolve. You become a monument to your pain. A statue built from old stories. And statues do not move, they do not grow, they do not adapt. A Machiavellian mind refuses to be defined by what happened. It is defined by what it does next. It understands that identity is not inherited from experience, it is constructed through decision. You are not the sum of your past, you are the product of your present choices. And the moment you separate who you were from who you are becoming, you unlock a level of freedom that most people will never experience. Detachment requires you to rewrite the narrative, not by lying to yourself, but by changing the meaning you assign to events. That betrayal was not proof that you are unlovable. It was proof that you trusted someone incapable of loyalty. That failure was not evidence of your inadequacy. It was the friction necessary to sharpen you. That loss was not a punishment. It was a redirection. The facts do not change. But the story you tell yourself about those facts determines whether they empower you or imprison you. And here is the cold reality. The story you have been telling yourself is probably a lie. A lie built on emotion, not evidence. A lie that protects your ego by making you the victim. A lie that keeps you small because growth requires you to take responsibility. The Machiavellian strips away the emotional narrative and looks at the past with surgical precision. What actually happened? What did I learn? What behavior pattern can I now recognize? What weakness did this expose in me? What strength did I gain by surviving it? And then, most importantly, what do I do differently moving forward? This is how you turn wounds into weapons. This is how you convert suffering into strategy. This is how you make your past serve you instead of ruling you. Your past becomes powerless the moment you stop needing it to be different. Most people stay trapped because they are still fighting battles that already ended. They are still trying to win arguments that no longer matter. They are still waiting for apologies that will never come. They are still hoping that somehow, if they think about it enough, the outcome will change. But it will not. The past is fixed, immovable, permanent. And your refusal to accept that is what keeps you chained to it. Detachment is acceptance without bitterness. It is looking at what happened and saying, "This occurred, I survived, and now I move forward." It is not about pretending the past did not hurt. It is about refusing to let that hurt define your future. The Machiavellian does not waste energy wishing things were different. That energy is finite, precious, strategic. It is spent only on things that can be influenced, controlled, or changed, and the past is none of those things. So you let it go, not because you are weak, but because you are smart enough to know that clinging to what cannot be changed is the fastest way to ensure you never change either. Letting go does not mean you forget. It means you stop letting memory dictate mood. It means you stop letting old pain create new problems. It means you stop using your history as an excuse for your present stagnation. You remember what happened. You honor what it taught you. And then you close the door. You lock it, and you walk away without looking back. This is not coldness. This is clarity, and clarity is the foundation of all power. One of the most dangerous traps of the past is the illusion of control it offers. When you replay a memory, you feel like you are doing something, analyzing it, understanding it, processing it. But in reality, you are just feeding it. You are keeping it alive. You are giving it space in your mind that it no longer deserves. The Machiavellian knows that obsession masquerades as insight. You think you are solving a problem, but you are actually creating one. Because the more you think about the past, the more neural pathways you build around it. The more you talk about it, the more you reinforce its importance. The more you revisit it, the more you train your mind to live there. And eventually, the past stops being a memory. It becomes your default state, your mental home, the place your mind returns to whenever it is not occupied. This is why detachment requires discipline. You must actively redirect your mind every time it tries to pull you backward. You must catch yourself mid-thought and say, "No, I do not live there anymore." You must train yourself to focus on what you can build, not what you lost. On who you are becoming, not who you used to be. On the opportunities in front of you, not the ones behind you. This is not easy. Your mind will resist. It will try to convince you that thinking about the past is necessary, that you need closure, that you need to understand. But closure is a myth. Understanding is overrated. What you need is distance. And distance is created through deliberate, repeated refusal to engage. Every time you choose not to replay the memory, you weaken its hold. Every time you choose not to talk about it, you drain its power. Every time you choose to focus on the present, you build strength in a new direction. This is how you detach, not through a single moment of revelation, but through 1,000 small decisions to stop feeding what should have died long ago. The past loses its grip when you stop seeking validation from it. Most people stay attached because they are still trying to prove something. To themselves, to others, to the people who doubted them. They are still trying to rewrite the narrative in a way that makes them look better, feel better, or seem more justified. But the Machiavellian does not seek validation from the past. He seeks results in the present. He does not care if people misunderstood him 5 years ago. He cares whether people respect him now. He does not care if he made mistakes when he was younger. He cares whether he is making better decisions today. He does not care if someone underestimated him once. He cares whether they underestimate him now, because if they do, that becomes a tactical advantage. Validation is a trap. It keeps you emotionally tethered to people and moments that should no longer matter. It keeps you performing for an audience that is no longer watching. It keeps you defending a version of yourself that no longer exists. The moment you stop needing the past to validate you, you become untouchable. You stop explaining yourself. You stop justifying your choices. You stop defending your growth. You simply move, and your movement speaks louder than any explanation ever could. This is the power of detachment. It frees you from the need to be understood by people who lack the capacity to understand you. It frees you from the need to be accepted by people who rejected an outdated version of you. It frees you from the need to prove anything to anyone, including yourself. You become someone who acts without needing applause, who evolves without needing permission, who rises without needing validation. And that is when you become truly dangerous. Your past will always try to return. It is relentless in its pursuit. In moments of weakness, when your resolve wavers and your energy depletes, in moments of loneliness, when the silence becomes deafening and you crave the familiar comfort of what you once knew, in moments of doubt, when you question whether this new path is truly worth the struggle. These are the precise moments when your history comes knocking at the door of your consciousness, seeking re-entry into your present reality. It will whisper to you in the quiet hours, speaking in voices that sound almost reasonable, almost caring. It will remind you of old failures with vivid clarity, replaying them like a film reel you cannot shut off. It will show you images of who you used to be, the version of yourself that made those mistakes, that accepted less, that tolerated what should never have been tolerated. It will try to convince you that you have not really changed, that this transformation you are experiencing is merely temporary, an illusion, a phase that will inevitably pass. It will suggest that you are fooling yourself, that growth is not real, that people do not truly evolve. This is normal. This is not a sign of failure or weakness. This is part of the process that every person who has ever attempted genuine transformation must face. The past does not die quietly. It does not simply fade away because you have decided to move forward. It fights for survival with everything it has. It battles to maintain its relevance in your life because your attention is what keeps it alive. And the only way to win that fight is to refuse to engage. Not to suppress, not to battle, not to wage war against your own memories, but simply to refuse them, the energy they require to maintain their grip on you. The Machiavellian treats intrusive memories like uninvited guests who appear at his door without warning or welcome. He does not open the door with enthusiasm or curiosity. He does not argue with them through the closed door, attempting to justify why they should leave. He does not try to convince them to leave through reasoning or emotional appeals. He simply does not let them in. He does not grant them access to the inner chambers of his mind where decisions are made and direction is determined. When a memory surfaces from the depths of his subconscious, he acknowledges it without emotion, without the dramatic response that would give it power. He observes it without attachment, viewing it as a neutral observer might watch clouds pass across the sky, present, visible, but temporary and ultimately inconsequential. And then he redirects his focus to something that serves his present goals, something that builds rather than destroys, something that propels him forward rather than pulling him backward. This is the practice of mental sovereignty, the reclaiming of your mind as your own territory. You do not control what thoughts arise from the unconscious mind. The human brain generates thousands of thoughts daily, many unbidden and unwelcome. But you absolutely control which thoughts you entertain, which ones you invite to stay, which ones you feed with your attention and emotional energy. You do not control what memories surface from the vast archive of your experience, but you control how long they stay in your conscious awareness, whether they occupy your mind for 3 seconds or 3 hours. You do not control what emotions appear in response to triggers and stimuli, but you control whether they influence your behavior, whether they translate from feeling into action, whether they dictate your choices and shape your reality. This level of control is built through repetition, through the daily practice of mental discipline that most people never develop. You're training your mind to recognize when it is slipping backward into old patterns and pulling it forward again with conscious intention. The refusing to indulge in emotional storytelling, the narratives we create that justify remaining stuck, that explain why we cannot move forward, that keep us comfortable in our suffering. Through treating your mind like a kingdom that must be defended from invasion, with you as the sovereign ruler who determines what enters and what is turned away at the gates. And over time, with consistent practice and unwavering commitment, the past stops knocking. It realizes there is no one home who will answer its call. It realizes you have moved on, that you have truly released your grip on what was and embraced what is. And it fades into irrelevance where it always belonged, becoming nothing more than information without emotional charge, data without power, history without hold. Detachment from the past is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of your true life. Because once you free yourself from the weight of what was, from the heavy burden of carrying yesterday into today, you gain access to the full power of what could be. You unlock potential that was always there but remained inaccessible while you were anchored to your history. You stop living in reaction to old pain and start living in alignment with new vision. With the future you are consciously creating rather than the past you are unconsciously repeating. You stop being shaped by circumstances that happen to you and start shaping circumstances through your intentional choices and strategic actions. You stop being a product of your history, defined and limited by what occurred before this moment, and start being an architect of your future, designing and building the life you truly want. This is the transformation that separates those who evolve from those who remain static. From someone controlled by memory, a puppet whose strings are pulled by events long concluded, to someone commanded by intention, a conscious creator who moves with purpose and direction. From someone defined by wounds, whose identity is constructed around what hurt them, to someone defined by will, whose character is forged through deliberate choice and disciplined action. From someone trapped in the past, endlessly reliving what can never be changed, to someone building the future, investing all energy into what can still be created. The Machiavellian mind is not cold because it does not feel. This is a common misconception that confuses detachment with emotional absence. It is powerful because it does not allow feeling to override strategy, because it maintains the capacity to experience emotion without being controlled by it. It is not detached because it does not care about anything or anyone. It is free because it refuses to let anything, especially the past, control its direction, compromise its vision, or derail its purpose. And this is what you must become if you are to fully step into your power. Someone who remembers everything but is controlled by nothing, who has access to the full archive of experience without being imprisoned by it. Someone who learns from the past but lives in the present, extracting wisdom from what was while remaining fully engaged with what is. Someone who honors what shaped them but refuses to be imprisoned by it, who acknowledges their history without allowing it to dictate their destiny. You are not your past. You are not the sum total of everything that has happened to you. You are not your mistakes, those moments of poor judgment or limited awareness that you now regret. You are not your losses, the things and people and opportunities that slipped through your fingers. You are not your betrayals, neither the ones committed against you, nor the ones you committed against yourself. You are the sum of the decisions you make from this moment forward, nothing more and nothing less. And those decisions are entirely within your control, regardless of what circumstances surround you or what limitations you face. So decide now in this present moment, not tomorrow or next week or when conditions are perfect. Decide that the past no longer speaks for you, that it no longer has a voice in the conversation about who you are and what you are capable of. Decide that old wounds no longer define you, that your identity is not constructed around what hurt you, but around what you are building. Decide that you will no longer sacrifice your future on the altar of your history, trading what could be for what was, remaining loyal to pain instead of possibility. Decide that from this moment on you are building something new, something that has never existed before, something uniquely yours. Something stronger than what you had before, forged through conscious intention rather than unconscious reaction. Something unbreakable, not because it will never be tested, but because it is built on a foundation of self-mastery and mental sovereignty. And then act on that decision. Every single day, without exception, regardless of how you feel or what challenges arise. Without hesitation, moving forward the moment the decision is made rather than waiting for perfect conditions. Without apology, refusing to justify your growth to those who are invested in keeping you small. Without looking back, keeping your eyes fixed on the horizon ahead rather than the road behind. This is how you detach from what no longer serves you. This is how you rise above the limitations that once defined you. This is how you become the kind of person who cannot be broken by what once was because you are too focused on what will be, too invested in the future you are creating, too committed to the vision you are manifesting. Your past becomes irrelevant not because you deny it or suppress it, but because you have built something so compelling in the present that history simply cannot compete for your attention. If you are ready to take full ownership of your mind, your choices, and your future, comment now. I am free from my past. Let those words mark the beginning of your transformation. And remember, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the strategies that will keep you 10 steps ahead of everyone still trapped in their own history. This is Machiavellian mindset, and you are now one step closer to unbreakable mental strength.